Welcome back to These Things Are Written. Today we are starting with Exodus chapter 24. Again, I request that you read through the whole chapter so that you might know all of the chapter. I'm not going to read all of it. There's a lot of good stuff there that I'm not reading. I'm pointing out a few things of the key parts that I see in this reading. I encourage you to, again, read through it all. We're going to start with verse 1. But before we do, this is a transition section. It's more narrative than we've heard in the past. The past was more God speaking to Moses, Moses speaking it to the people. And now we hear of what happens, the kind of the response, not only of the people, but also from God. Chapter 24, verse 1. Then God said to Moses, "Come up to the Lord, you and Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel, and worship from afar. Moses alone shall come near the Lord, but the others shall not come near, and the people shall not come up with him." It's an invitation that God gives to 73 other people, the 70 elders, Aaron, Nadab, and Abihu. Now, Nadab and Abihu were Aaron's sons. They helped with the priestly duties. The 70 elders were the 70 leaders of the people of God. And they were called to come up to be closer to God, to be in his presence. Not all people, but just those select. Let's continue with verse 3. Moses came and told the people all the words of the Lord and all the rules, and all the people answered with one voice and said, "All the words that the Lord has spoken, we will do." And Moses wrote down all the words of the Lord. He rose early in the morning and built an altar at the foot of the mountain and 12 pillars according to the 12 tribes of Israel. And he sent young men of the people of Israel who offered burnt offerings and sacrificed peace offerings of oxen to the Lord. And Moses took half of the blood and put it in basins, and half of the blood he threw against the altar. Then he took the book of the covenant and read it in the hearing of the people. And they said, "All that the Lord has spoken we will do, and we will be obedient." And Moses took the blood and threw it on the people and said, "Behold, the blood of the covenant that the Lord has made with you, in accordance with all these words." We see two affirmations from the people. When he comes down and told the people the words of the Lord, all the rules, the people answered that this is what we are going to do. Moses wrote them down, and then he had an altar built, as it shows. The whole thing with the blood, I want to point that out. Half of the blood he threw against the altar. The blood is a sign of the covenant. The blood shed in the covenant. Remember when Abraham passed through the animals, or when God passed through the animals that had been cut in half to say, "This is what will happen to me if I break my covenant." That's also similar to this. The blood signs the covenant as being fulfilled, as being in place. So showing God's agreement to the covenant. And then the people, after they have spoken again, all that the Lord has spoken, we will do, and we will be obedient. He took the other blood and he threw it. He splashed it on the people. The blood of the covenant has made you in accordance with all these words. In a way, this is foreshadowing the blood of the covenant of Christ, the blood shed that was poured out for you and me, so that we would be his sons and daughters. That forgiveness that we have because of Christ's blood shed on the cross. A great connection here. And that understanding of that covenantal agreement between God and man, going back to when he said, "I will be your God and you will be my people." Continuing with verse 9. Then Moses and Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel went up, and they saw the God of Israel. And there was under his feet, as it were, a pavement of sapphire stone, like the very heaven for clearness. But he did not lay his hand on the chief men of the people of Israel. They beheld God and ate and drank. They saw the Lord. And what's the description that we have of the Lord? What it's like around his feet. In fact, this is often the description that we get of God. What's going on around his feet at the bottom of his throne, because the people of God fall in reverence and awe of the Lord before his throne, before his power and his grace and his mercy. They saw the Lord. And it says he did not lay his hand on the chief of men of the people of Israel. They beheld God and ate and drank. He should have destroyed them because he hates evil and hates being in its presence, and they are sinful human beings. But yet he had mercy on them and allowed them to do this by his grace, by his mercy. Continuing, verse 18. After God commands Moses to go up to the mountain, it says, Moses entered the cloud and went up on the mountain, and Moses was on the mountain 40 days and 40 nights. This number of 40 is a significant number. Often it's a number that is tied to struggles or troubles. Remember that it rained for 40 days and 40 nights. God's chosen people would be in the wilderness for 40 days. Jesus was tempted in the wilderness for 40 days. They wandered in the wilderness for 40 years. I may have said that wrong. Jesus was tempted in the wilderness for 40 days. And here we see that he's up on the mountain for 40 days and 40 nights, almost as if it's a test, but not for Moses, but for God's people. How would they respond? We're not going to find out tomorrow. That's a ways later. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about the tabernacle that God orders to be designed, what it looks like, and what the pieces were and why they were important, and how the tabernacle points forward to Jesus, the Word made flesh that dwelt, that tabernacled among us. Join us tomorrow, and we'll take a look at that.